While playing Shovel Knight, I couldn't help but smile. Here we are in 2014, a year filled with pseudo-realistic graphics and state-of-the-art machinery, and here I am just sitting here playing what is essentially an 8-bit platforming game. The funny thing is, I'd honestly rather keep playing Shovel Knight than the recent blockbusters. Shovel Knight takes that classic NES game formula and modernizes it just enough so that it's not frustrating and dated, but rewarding. It's unbelievably creative, funny, and a perfect ode to classic Mega Man, Zelda, and Castlevania games. Shovel Knight is a lonely, sad knight. His friend, Shield Knight, has been taken from him by the Enchantress, and he has vowed to get her back. It might seem simple, but the dialogue and the way it's delivered really drives the point home that all Shovel Knight really wants is his companion. On your way to the Enchantress's tower, you'll find the 8 members of the Order of No Quarter, and their often hilarious exchanges with Shovel Knight. By the end of the game, I was actually motivated to power through some of the most difficult platforming I've done in years, all for the sake of my pixelated friend and his shovel. For anyone really watching, it should be obvious that Shovel Knight was inspired by some of the classic Nintendo games from our childhood. It really shows too, both literally and figuratively. Shovel Knight adheres to the NES color palette, so it really looks like you're playing a game from the late 1980s. However, it has some of the most articulate and appropriately themed pixel art in the industry. Each enemy has delicately crafted animations and the backgrounds are very detailed. I was particularly impressed with one boss and the large mechanical tank that he controlled. You could see the finer details in the design, and it was really just a jaw-dropping experience. Speaking of which, the 8 knights in the Order of No Quarter act as bosses. Each one comes with their own unique personality and dialogue exchanges, such as Polar Knight's service to solitude and Propeller Knight's appreciation for the finer things in life. In fact, each one of the battles with the knights was so creative to the point where I just honestly didn't know what to expect. It's not just like the old Mega Man games where they just shoot you with a weapon. They didn't have a unique weapon that they shoot. Rather, their entire moveset is based on how they were designed. For example, King Knight has trumpets appear on the side of the screen to rain dangerous confetti across the battle arena. Shovel Knight is essentially a cross between Mega Man, Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link, and Castlevania. Each stage is accessed through a world map, much akin to Mario Bros. 3, and each stage has one of the previously mentioned knights as a boss. Shovel Knight uses a shovel as a close-range weapon, but its most useful purpose is probably its bounce attack. While in the air, Shovel Knight can bounce off enemies that are below him, much akin to Scrooge McDuck's cane in DuckTales. Many of the levels are designed with this in mind, such as bouncing off bubbles or enemies to reach platforms. In fact, the level design is really just spot on in regards to Shovel Knight and his abilities. As you progress through the game, there is a variety of equipment that you can use. Some items, called relics, are obviously inspired by older games like the Anchor that functions exactly like the axe in Castlevania. Some of the more useful relics include the Phase Locket that makes you invulnerable for a few seconds, and a rolling gear that lets you roll across spikes. Not all the items are as useful. I don't think I've ever used the coin relic at all. Luckily, these are few and far between, and some of the items are even found in secret passages within levels. Getting these, while not required, will make your life a hell of a lot easier later on. Shovel Knight also has a currency system. While out adventuring, you'll collect gems that you can purchase items and upgrades with. There are 2 towns in the game, both of which have several different shops and activities for you to partake in. There's an armory where you could upgrade your shovel and armor to have different passive abilities, such as reducing damage at the cost of having less momentum. Your shovel can be upgraded with different slashing techniques and improve its digging efficiency. It really pays to save up as many gems as possible. But don't get too attached to your gems, though, because your quest shall not be an easy one. Shovel Knight is a fiendishly difficult game, especially during the latter half. Poor Shovel Knight died a total of 58 times during my first playthrough, and quite a few times I lost a big chunk of change. See, the death system is similar to something like Dark Souls. When Shovel Knight dies, he'll drop a chunk of change. You then have the chance to recover your money if you can collect your floating money bags, but if you die on the way there, you lose it permanently and the process will start over. Rather than just losing a life and restarting at a checkpoint, the gold is a motivating factor that acts as an incentive to keep playing. Shovel Knight features chiptune music composed by both Jake Kaufman and Manami Matsume, who wrote the music for Mega Man back when Capcom actually cared about him. Needless to say, the background tracks are absolutely mesmerizing. In each stage there are several usually hidden in-game music sheets. If you collect any of them, you can bring them to a very talented bard in the town to play them. This essentially functions as an in-game music player, much like the sound test options in older games. Currently, I have one of my favorite tracks playing, but you could also listen to Propeller Knight's music on the written review page. Shovel Knight took me just under 5 hours to complete. In subsequent runs, I'd wager that it'd be possible to finish the game in half that time or less, but that would require some serious dedication and finesse. After completing the story, you'll unlock New Game Plus, which will let you replay the game with all of your items and gear, with the caveat that it's much more difficult. Healing items are extremely rare and enemies do significantly more damage. Either way, you want to replay some of the levels because odds are you missed all sorts of secret music sheets and shortcuts the first time around. Shovel Knight is one of those games that reminds me why I love to play video games. It's not about shooting people down, it's not about destroying alien warships, or even building houses out of dirt, no. It's about simple, harmless fun. This is a work of art, it's a labor of love, and without a doubt, it's one of the best downloadable games that I've played in years. If you call yourself a gamer, you need to play Shovel Knight. Slash mercilessly, and dig tirelessly, my friends. Thanks for watching our Shovel Knight review for the Wii U, 3DS, and PC. Keep in mind that Shovel Knight will be receiving several modes in the future, free of charge due to meeting their Kickstarter goals. Some of these include a local multiplayer battle mode, gender swap, and playable bosses. There's no release date on these yet, but you can expect them in the future. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe so you can see all our other reviews, and tune in to jump2gamer.com for all your gaming needs.